Ever find yourself chasing after someone's approval, or putting in more effort than they do, only to have them slip away into the distance? It's frustrating, right? You give your all, make sure they know you care, you keep the conversation going, but somehow, it's like you're always on the other end of the spectrum. Now, what if I told you that all of that is absolutely backward? What if you could stop chasing, step back, and let them come crawling to you? And I don't mean this in a manipulative, play hard to get kind of way. No, I'm talking about a profound shift that involves understanding the psychology of human behavior and the power of Stoic wisdom. Picture this. You stop running after people. You stop texting first, always responding immediately, and bending over backwards to please. You start by focusing on your own growth, your own life, and your own emotional control. That's when they'll come crawling back, because they'll feel the shift in energy. When you stop seeking validation, you naturally become a person that others want to be around. It's not about playing games. It's about creating such an irresistible energy with your emotional independence and inner calm that people will want a piece of it. Why? Because people are addicted to attention. They crave it, they want it, and they'll jump at any chance to be in the presence of someone who has figured out how to give it to themselves first. And trust me, you're not going to get there by chasing. Chasing is like a dog constantly running after its tail. No one will respect you for that. But when you take a step back, hold your own, and cultivate the kind of emotional strength that the Stoics talked about, that is when they start to take notice. That's when you unlock the kind of magnetism that gets people to want to be around you. But here's the thing. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, patience, and, above all, a deep understanding of both human psychology and Stoic principles. That's why we're diving into this together today. I'm going to share the tools and wisdom that will help you attract people, build stronger relationships, and, most importantly, make sure you never have to chase again. So let's start by making one commitment. Hit that like button right now. Why? Because when you take action, YouTube will notice. They'll spread this message to others who are ready for a transformation just like you. When you like, share, and comment, you're not just helping yourself, but you're helping others too. You're part of a growing movement of people who refuse to chase, and instead, let others come to them. You ready? Let's dive in. Number 1. Stop chasing. Embrace the power of indifference. The art of chasing. It's an age-old struggle, isn't it? You text, you call, you plan, you wait for the right moment to make your move. You feel like you're doing everything right. After all, this person is just one text away. But guess what? All that running around, bending over backward, and sweating it out to get their attention, it's doing the exact opposite of what you think it is. It's repelling them. The more you chase, the more you drive them away. They're not impressed. In fact, they're bored. They don't want a puppy. They want a lion. And right now, you're acting like a stray dog chasing after their heels. Time to stop, my friend. Here's a little secret. People are drawn to what they can't have. The more you act like they're not a priority, the more they'll feel that gravitational pull towards you. It's simple psychology. You're giving them the one thing they crave, mystery. They'll want what's out of reach. They'll wonder what you're up to. Why? Because when you stop chasing them, you become the one who's actually in control. And guess what? They'll start chasing you. Sounds absurd, right? Well, it's true. Let's break this down. Imagine a relationship, whether it's personal or professional. You're constantly putting in the effort, always checking in, always making the first move. What does that communicate? I need you. I'm here whenever you want me. And what happens? They know you're there, and they start to take you for granted. They stop valuing you because you're always available, always eager, always there. It's like a store that always has a sale, Soon, the novelty wears off. They know it'll always be there. But when you pull back, focus on your own life, and stop chasing, that's when the game changes. They start to feel your absence, your indifference. And that, my friends, is when you become magnetic. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it, said Epictetus. Chasing after someone is easy, but the real power lies in the calm indifference, the ability to hold your ground, focus on your own life, and let them come to you. The more you value yourself and detach from the outcome, the more people will value your time, energy, and attention. The actionable tip here is simple. Build your own life. Focus on your passions, your growth, your fulfillment. Stop looking to others for validation or attention. When you do this, you naturally become more magnetic, and people can't help but notice. You've just unlocked the key to effortless attraction, indifference. Don't chase. Let them come to you. Now, I know, you might be itchy to dive into the next section, but before you do me a favor, hit that like button. Let's spread this message far and wide. You're not alone in this journey. You've got this. Number 2. Master your emotions. Don't let them control you. Let's face it, life's a roller coaster. 1 minute, you're riding high, feeling like you've got everything under control. The next, someone says something that cuts a little too deep, or a situation doesn't go your way, and boom, your emotions are all over the place. It's like the floodgates open, and before you know it, you're angry, frustrated, or even hurt, all at once. We've all been there. But here's the truth. This emotional chaos, these outbursts and reactions, they're the easiest way to lose respect. When you let your emotions dictate your actions, you show the world that you lack control and self-mastery. And trust me, no one is attracted to chaos. People are drawn to calm, collected, and composed individuals who can handle any situation, no matter how challenging it may be. Think about a situation where things didn't go your way. Maybe you were passed over for a promotion at work, or your significant other made a comment that left you reeling. The natural impulse is to react, to let those emotions spill out, to lash out or withdraw. But what happens when you do that? You lose your power. You lose the opportunity to rise above. Instead of commanding respect, you show that your emotions are in charge of you, not the other way around. But what if you could take a moment, pause, and not let that emotion run wild? What if, instead of immediately reacting, you took a deep breath, centered yourself, and responded with clarity and poise? That's power. That's self-mastery. That's the kind of behavior that attracts respect and admiration. Stoicism teaches us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. As Seneca wisely said, what does this mean? Most of the time, our emotional reactions are driven by what we think will happen, not what actually happens. We imagine the worst-case scenario, spiral into negativity, and let our emotions take us for a ride. But when we step back and detach, we realize that we often create much more suffering for ourselves than the situation warrants. Take, for example, a tense conversation with a friend or a family member. They say something that feels hurtful, and your gut reaction is to get defensive or shut down. Instead of falling into that emotional trap, what if you took a step back, breathed deeply, and then calmly asked, "Why did you say that?" Or, "Can we talk about this?" By staying calm, you show that you are in control of the situation and in control of your emotions. The other person will respect your composure and your willingness to engage thoughtfully rather than emotionally. In moments of emotional turbulence, practice detachment. When life feels overwhelming, stop and focus on your breath. Count to 5, inhale deeply, and exhale slowly. By focusing on your breath, you can shift your attention from the emotion to your physical body. This simple act gives you the space to respond with clarity, not impulse. Remember, in every situation, you have a choice. You can either react emotionally, or you can respond with wisdom and poise. The latter is always more powerful. So the next time you feel the heat of a situation rising, remember, you are in control. Don't let your emotions drive the bus. Take the wheel, and show the world what true strength looks like. When you master your emotions, you master your life. And that's an irresistible trait that commands respect from everyone around you. Number 3. Engage in self-improvement. Become the best version of yourself. There's a story I want to share. A friend of mine, let's call him Mark, was always the life of the party. Charming, charismatic, and popular. People loved being around him. But there was something about him that also made others feel, well, slightly uncomfortable. He was constantly focused on being the best at everything, his career, his hobbies, even his social life. But there was a catch. His self-worth was tied to external validation. He needed to be the top performer, the smartest, the most liked. Yet, deep down, he was insecure, always fearing that he wasn't enough unless others acknowledged his worth. One day, Mark decided to take a step back. He had an honest conversation with himself, and realized he wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for validation, for the applause. So, he decided to change his approach. Instead of striving for validation, he focused on self-improvement. He set clear personal goals, not for anyone else, but for himself. He started reading daily to expand his knowledge, working on his fitness, and learning new skills that genuinely interested him, not for praise, but to enhance his own life. Weeks went by, and Mark's transformation wasn't just physical. His energy shifted. The people around him started noticing, but not because he was trying harder to impress them. It was because he was genuinely becoming a better version of himself. He wasn't seeking attention anymore. Instead, he was focused on being the best Mark he could be, not for validation, but because he valued growth. His confidence soared, not because others were cheering him on, but because he was cheering himself on from within. People started gravitating toward him, but this time, it wasn't forced. It was natural. He became a magnet, not because he tried to be, but because his growth made him stand out in a quiet, powerful way. Think about it. Who do you admire most? It's probably not the person who brags or seeks validation from others. It's the one who works quietly, consistently improving themselves, and becoming the best version of who they are. That person commands respect because they don't need approval to feel worthy. They already know their value. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The true wealth lies in constantly improving, in becoming more self-sufficient, and being at peace with the person you're becoming. When you focus on personal growth, you stop chasing approval, and instead, you start attracting the right people who are drawn to your authentic self. Set personal goals that excite you, whether it's learning a new language, picking up a sport, diving deeper into philosophy, or simply taking better care of your health. Break them into manageable steps, and work on them consistently. The key here is consistency. Each day, take small actions that push you towards becoming the best version of yourself. As you improve, you'll naturally begin to inspire others around you, and they'll be drawn to your energy. This is how you transform your life, not by seeking validation, but by becoming a better you. Number 4, be unpredictable. Keep them guessing. You know how it is when something becomes too predictable, too comfortable. Eventually, the thrill starts to fade, and the spark of interest dims. That's how people start viewing you when you're too easy to figure out. If you're always available, always doing the same things, following the same routine, people might stop paying attention. But if you introduce a little unpredictability into your life, if you surprise people once in a while, they can't help but be intrigued. I'll give you a prime example. Imagine you're always at the same spot at the same time, always responding to messages the second they come in, always the one who arranges everything. After a while, people stop seeing you as special. They start taking you for granted because they know exactly where you'll be, what you'll do, and when you'll do it. You're predictable. So why bother paying extra attention? Now, what if one day, you just don't show up when expected? Or if you suddenly change up your routine? You've just added a layer of intrigue. People will start wondering, where did they go? Why didn't they respond? What's going on? That's when you become interesting again. Predictability kills curiosity, and curiosity, my friend, is what drives attraction. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." The truth is, when you're predictable, you give up your freedom to be spontaneous and live fully in the moment. You're letting others dictate the script of your life. But when you embrace unpredictability, you take back control. You break free from the need to conform, from the patterns that people expect from you. Unpredictability doesn't mean being erratic or unreliable. It doesn't mean showing up late or causing chaos. It's about being spontaneous, being your authentic self, but surprising people with your actions and your words. Think of the best relationships in your life. Don't they have that spark, that excitement that comes from not knowing everything about each other yet? It's about leaving some things to the imagination. People can't help but wonder why you're acting differently. They want to understand what makes you tick, why you're not following the same patterns as everyone else. That mystery is what keeps them interested. The next time you feel like people have figured you out, switch it up. Say no to a meeting or event you'd usually attend. Take a different route to work. Surprise them with a new idea or a new hobby you picked up. Not only will this keep people guessing, but it will also give you a sense of freedom. Stop being the predictable person they've come to expect and start becoming the person they can't wait to learn more about. People are naturally drawn to those who are hard to pin down, those who leave a little mystery behind them. So, take the advice of the Stoics. Break free from the chains of predictability, and live your life with the power of choice. And when people start guessing about you, that's when you know you've truly got their attention. Number 5. Maintain healthy boundaries. Show your worth. Let's face it, most people will test the limits of what they can get away with. Some will be courteous and respectful, while others will try to push your boundaries until they snap. The key to maintaining respect in your relationships lies in how you set those boundaries. When you respect yourself enough to establish limits, others will take notice. And if they don't, then it's time to ask yourself if they deserve a place in your life at all. Now, we all know the feeling of wanting to be liked, wanting to please others. It's tempting, right? But here's the harsh reality. If you're constantly putting everyone else's needs before your own, you're not showing them your worth. You're showing them that you're expendable. People take your respect for granted when you allow them to overstep. But when you stand firm and say no when necessary, that's when people truly begin to respect you. Not because you're difficult, but because you value yourself. Consider this. Think of the last time you allowed someone to take up your time, your energy, or your emotional space without considering your own needs. How did it feel? Like you were giving with little in return, right? And yet, how often do we continue this cycle in our relationships? Whether it's with friends, family, or colleagues. People can tell when you have no boundaries. They sense it, and they use it. Epictetus's words ring true here. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? When we allow others to cross our boundaries, we're not demanding the best for ourselves. We're letting our worth be defined by someone else. Boundaries aren't about being rigid or shutting people out. They're about defining what is acceptable in your life. By maintaining them, you show others that you know your value, and you won't let anyone diminish it. Healthy boundaries are a reflection of self-love and respect. Imagine a relationship where your needs are acknowledged, where you're not constantly compromising to make others happy, When you show others that you have limits, you also show them that you respect yourself enough to protect your time and energy. This creates healthier relationships because it sets the foundation for mutual respect. The next time someone asks for something that doesn't feel right or demands more of your time than you can give, say no. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your decision. Just calmly state your boundary and stick to it. You'll be amazed at how empowering it feels to reclaim your space. When you respect yourself enough to set and maintain boundaries, you create space for others to do the same. And that's when respect is truly earned. So remember, maintaining your boundaries isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's a reminder that you know your worth and won't let anyone treat you less than you deserve. When you live by this principle, you'll not only gain respect, but you'll also foster deeper, more genuine connections. Number 6. Project self-sufficiency. There's something about people who seem entirely self-sufficient that commands respect. You know the type, the ones who have a calm, collected aura about them, as though they don't rely on anyone or anything to make them happy. They don't crave constant validation or attention, and they certainly don't act as if their worth depends on others' opinions. When you project this kind of self-sufficiency, you'll find that people are naturally drawn to you. They admire your independence, and they respect your ability to stand alone. Let's take a real-life example. Picture someone who is always happy, but not because they're constantly surrounded by a crowd or the latest trends. This person enjoys their own company. They have hobbies they pursue for the sheer joy of it, not to impress anyone. They've cultivated a life that is rich and fulfilling on their own terms, and the people around them can sense this. They don't need to rely on anyone else for happiness, because they've already learned how to create that from within. This isn't about pushing others away or becoming some lone wolf. It's about creating a life where you don't rely on others to fill a void. It's about pursuing your own passions, developing your skills, and finding fulfillment in activities that don't require approval from the outside world. And here's the secret. When you live like this, people notice. They may not always be able to pinpoint it, but they respect you for it. Seneca's words are particularly fitting here. He who is brave is free. When you cultivate self-sufficiency, you free yourself from the need to constantly depend on others for your happiness. This kind of freedom is empowering, and it draws others to you like a magnet. You become someone who isn't easily swayed by external circumstances, and people are often drawn to that strength. It's not about pushing others away. It's about having the strength to be at peace, regardless of the external noise. In relationships, this principle is especially powerful. Imagine a romantic partnership where both people are happy and whole on their own. There's no pressure for the other person to complete them because they're already whole. That independence creates a healthy dynamic where both people can thrive individually and together. The key to any lasting relationship is not needing someone else to fill your emotional gaps, but rather being able to give freely from a place of fullness. Cultivate your own hobbies and passions that don't require anyone else to participate. Take up a solo activity, whether it's painting, writing, hiking, or learning a new language. The more you invest in yourself, the more you'll find your own happiness. When you stop relying on others for your contentment, people will be drawn to your energy. They'll admire your ability to be at peace with yourself, and they'll respect your independence. Start small. Set aside time each week to focus on something you enjoy for the sake of your own growth. Whether it's mastering a new skill or simply taking time to meditate, these moments of self-sufficiency will add up and transform how others perceive you. When you no longer need others for validation, you become magnetic, and people will naturally want to be around you. The more you focus on your own growth, happiness, and well-being, the more you'll realize that you don't need anyone's approval to feel whole. And that, my friend, is when the real magic happens, when you become truly irresistible. Number 7. Focus on the bigger picture. Let go of small distractions. Let's face it, life is full of distractions, and it's so easy to get caught up in the little things. You get a nasty email, someone cuts you off in traffic, or someone says something that rubs you the wrong way. It's like every day is a buffet of minor annoyances that are just waiting for you to bite. But here's the secret. If you let yourself get tangled up in these distractions, you're not only wasting your time, but also diminishing your power. You become a slave to the small, inconsequential things instead of focusing on what really matters. Let me tell you a story. There's this person, let's call them Alex, who's constantly irritated by the little stuff. One day, Alex was late to work because of traffic, and their whole day was ruined. They couldn't focus on their tasks because the traffic jam was the only thing occupying their mind. They even let it affect their relationships, snapping at coworkers for no reason. And this isn't just an isolated incident. Every small setback feels like a major crisis. The end result? Alex is emotionally drained, constantly bogged down, and makes no progress toward their big goals. Now imagine this. You're that same person, but you've learned to focus on the bigger picture. The same traffic jam happens, but instead of letting it consume your day, you brush it off. You think to yourself, this is a temporary setback. My long-term goals are still in sight, and this minor inconvenience won't stop me from reaching them. Suddenly, you're able to continue your day with a level of clarity and resilience that most people can't fathom. Marcus Aurelius understood this concept better than anyone. What we do now echoes at eternity. Small distractions. They're like pebbles in the road. Sure, they might make you stumble for a second, but do you really want to waste your energy on them? Let them go. Focus on your larger vision. Your goals aren't defined by how well you handle traffic or a stray comment. Your future is shaped by your decisions to push forward and stay focused on the end game. So how do we do this in real life? First, identify your long-term goals, your why, and keep them clear in your mind. If your goal is financial independence, health, or personal growth, keep that in the forefront of your mind every day. When life throws a tantrum and distractions come your way, ask yourself, is this worth my time and emotional energy? More often than not, the answer is no. And that's okay. Don't waste your time on things that don't align with your big picture. Start by writing down your long-term goals and reviewing them every morning. When something minor distracts you, mentally remind yourself that your goals are bigger than the temporary setback at hand. This simple practice helps you refocus on what truly matters. It trains your brain to not get bogged down by the small stuff. Instead of getting stuck in traffic or angry at a person's rude comment, you see the bigger picture, and you know that nothing, not even a minor inconvenience, can stop you from reaching your destination. In the end, it's about prioritizing your mental energy. Focus on what truly matters, and watch how it transforms not just your day, but your life. Let go of the small distractions, and stay focused on your ultimate goals. When you do, you'll become unstoppable, and that's when people start noticing you. Not for the drama you entertain, but for the quiet, unshakable focus you maintain. Number 8. Make them realize your value. Here's a little secret. People don't appreciate what they have until it's out of their reach. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? How many times have you given someone your time, energy, and attention, only to have them treat you like a free buffet? You've probably bent over backward to prove your worth, but they still don't seem to notice. You're the unsung hero, doing all the heavy lifting, while they merrily go on, oblivious to the fact that you're the one making things happen. Well, here's the kicker. Stop trying to prove your value. When you stop chasing their attention, that's when they'll realize just how valuable you are. Now, let's break this down. Think of a time when you've been so desperate to be seen, to be heard, that you've given all of yourself to someone, whether in a relationship, at work, or with friends. You showed up early, stayed late, and did everything you could to be indispensable. Yet, for some reason, they still didn't acknowledge your effort. You've all but screamed, "Look at me! I'm amazing!" And what did you get in return? Silence. Or worse, indifference. So what happens when you stop chasing them? What happens when you let go of the constant effort to prove yourself? They start to notice. Why? Because you've taken away the validation they were taking for granted. When you remove your emotional investment, when you stop bending to their will, it creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, they begin to realize that maybe, just maybe, you were the one who made things happen all along. Confucius wasn't far off when he said, "A man who has committed a mistake and doesn't correct it is committing another mistake." The mistake you're making by constantly proving your worth is that you're undermining your own value. It's as if you're saying, "Look at me, I'm worth it," while they, in their own self-absorption, miss the point. The correction? Stop chasing. Start living your life in a way that makes your value evident, without the need for constant validation. Now, what does this look like in practice? Let's use an example. At work, maybe you've been the go-to person, the one who always stays late, picks up extra shifts, and never says no. And what happens? You get ignored. They think it's just your job, or worse, they take it for granted. So, here's your move. Stop volunteering for everything. Let them see what happens when you don't show up to save the day. Your absence will make them realize how much you've been holding the fort together. When they start asking for help, don't jump it immediately. Make them earn it. Show them that your time, effort, and energy are not free. Start showing your worth through your actions, not your words. Be consistent in what you do. Be reliable, and most importantly, be independent. People value what they can't have, and when you stop chasing their approval, they'll come crawling back, realizing just how important you truly are. Watch as the dynamic shifts when you stop giving so much and start holding back. It's the secret to making them realize your value and making them respect you for it. In the end, the best way to prove your worth is by not proving anything at all. Number 9. Let them miss you. The power of absence. A tool so simple, yet so profoundly effective, it's almost like a superpower. You know the feeling when someone's always in your space, always around, and you start to take them for granted? They're there when you need them, and they're still there when you don't. They think they're being a constant support, but really, they're just becoming background noise. Now imagine the opposite. What happens when you take a step back and let them feel your absence? They'll realize, maybe too late, that the void you leave behind is a lot bigger than they ever realized. This isn't just about playing hard to get, mind you. It's not about putting on a show or pretending to be distant just for the sake of it. It's about understanding your worth and knowing that your presence is a gift. People, by nature, are drawn to what they can't easily have. So by giving them some space, by pulling back a little, you create that hunger in them, a hunger for your time, your attention, and your presence. Here's where things get epic. Imagine you've been giving and giving, always available for a chat, always ready to help, always the first one to reply. But then, you decide to step back. You don't answer their texts right away. You take time for your own pursuits. You leave them wondering what you're up to, wondering why you're not around as much. And just like that, boom, the tides change. Suddenly, they want you back. They miss you. They feel your absence. And that's when they realize just how much they took you for granted. As Epictetus wisely said, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. When you constantly make yourself available to others, you risk allowing your energy to be drained. You can't be the best version of yourself for anyone else if you're always giving to others without taking time to recharge. By pulling back, you force others to do the same, and they'll come to appreciate your presence even more. Let's look at a real-life example. You've been that friend who's always ready to listen, the one who's always there when things go south, the one who drops everything to help. But when was the last time you took time for yourself? Maybe you've been helping a friend through a tough breakup, offering advice to a colleague about their career, or just being the go-to person in every crisis. But one day, you decide enough is enough. You take a weekend away, you don't answer every text immediately, and suddenly, you are the one they start to miss. They start realizing that the space you took was exactly what they needed to reflect on how much you contribute to their lives. Suddenly, they're sending you messages, calling to check in, wondering when they'll see you next. It's not manipulation, it's not games. It's simply the reality that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Don't be afraid to take time for yourself. Create a little distance, engage in activities that are meaningful to you, and allow others to feel the absence of your presence. Let them earn it back. Whether it's with a romantic partner, friends, or at work, your absence will make them realize just how much you add to their lives. It's a subtle, powerful shift in dynamic. When they miss you, they'll start to see the value you bring, and that's when true respect and appreciation are born. Number 10. Stop trying to control others. Oh, the illusion of control. It's like the mirage you keep chasing in the desert, only to realize the closer you get, the further away it becomes. You know the feeling, constantly trying to shape others, push them in the direction you want, force your expectations on them, as if they're just another project to be perfected. Maybe it's with your partner, maybe it's with friends, or maybe, just maybe, you've done it in the workplace. You try to control their actions, their reactions, how they should behave, but newsflash, people don't like being controlled. It's a recipe for frustration, for resistance, and, ultimately, for losing the respect you think you're gaining. Think about it. How often do we try to fix people? If only they do this differently. Or, why can't they see things my way? You think it's for their own good. But the reality is that every time you attempt to control someone else, you're pushing them further away. The more you try, the more they push back. It's human nature. Trying to control others is like waving a flag that says, "I don't trust you to make your own decisions." And guess what? Nobody likes that. But here's the kicker. When you stop trying to control others, when you start focusing on controlling yourself, that's when you actually gain influence. Think about the last time someone tried to control you. Did you feel respected? Did you feel empowered? Probably not. Now, imagine if they had simply set an example, been steady in their own actions, and trusted you to figure it out. That respect would have been earned, not forced. As Epictetus reminds us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The beauty of Stoic wisdom is in its simplicity. The key to influence and respect lies not in manipulating others, but in controlling your own actions, responses, and emotional reactions. When you stop trying to control what others do, you free yourself from the chaos and gain the freedom to lead with true influence. You start to realize that it's not about micromanaging people. It's about showing them through your behavior what true strength and composure look like. Let's break this down with a real-life scenario. You've got a partner who leaves dirty dishes around the house, a colleague who's always late to meetings, or a friend who constantly cancels plans. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, "I just need to fix them. I'll get them to see my point of view, and they'll do what I want." But let's be real. Forcing someone to change their behavior through guilt trips, nagging, or ultimatums is the exact opposite of earning their respect. Instead, what if you focus on your actions? Lead by example. Stop stressing over how they behave, and focus on yourself. If it's your partner, instead of getting angry about the dishes, you could simply continue to keep your own space clean and set a calm, respectful standard. With your colleague, rather than complaining about their tardiness, you show up on time, and remain calm and composed in meetings. Watch how things shift. You'll begin to see the respect you crave come to you naturally, without having to fight for it. Let go of the need to control others. Focus on yourself, your growth, and your emotional balance. When you stop trying to control what others do, you not only free them from your expectations, but you also free yourself from unnecessary stress. Lead by example, and let the power of your own self-control inspire the respect and influence you seek. When you relinquish control, you gain the trust and admiration of those around you. Conclusion. So here's the truth. The more you try to control others, the more you push them away. But when you stop chasing, when you relinquish the need for control, that's when you unlock true power. It's not about manipulation. It's not about forcing your will. It's about embodying the calm strength of Stoicism and leading by example. This shit doesn't just earn respect, it commands it. And just like that, they'll come back crawling to you, seeking your presence, your wisdom, your calmness. Think about it. By focusing on your own emotional mastery and leading a life full of intention, you become irresistible. Your actions speak louder than words. When you stop trying to shape others, when you trust their journey and focus on your own, that's when you draw them in, naturally. You are the rock, unshaken by the ways of others' behavior. Now, it's time to put this into action. Take a moment to reflect. How many situations in your life have you tried to control? How often have you found yourself chasing validation or approval from others? It's time to stop. Trust in your own power. Embrace the Stoic mindset. Let go, and watch how everything starts to fall into place. If you're ready to stop chasing and start leading with powerful indifference, hit that like button now. Why? Because taking action is the first step toward mastering the art of attraction. When you share this video, you help others on their journey to emotional freedom. So like, comment, and share. Let's spread the power of Stoicism together. And remember, when you stop controlling, when you stop chasing, they will come back crawling to you. Let's make this transformation together. Subscribe, share, and let's keep growing stronger. The power is in your hands.